Hello and welcome back to another Doctor Who figure review. In today's Doctor Who figure review, I'll be taking a look at the Unit 1971 of the Claws of Axos set. I guess this sort of set clears the unit dating issue, doesn't it really? So if you can't tell by my voice, I am super excited to be reviewing this set because of Sergeant Benton and Captain Yates finally being released as a figure. Two characters that have been on my Doctor Who figure wish list for so long and they're finally here. Oh, what a good year this is for Doctor Who figures. Now, I did recently review the Claws of Axos set with the Brigadier, Humanoid Axon and Joe Grant. If you want to check out that review, I'll leave a link in the description below and a little card thing at the top of the screen if you want to check out that review. So the way this video is going to work is I'm obviously going to do the packaging, do articulation and detail, and the comparison to figures what make up this set as well. So without further ado, let's look at the packaging. So, taking a look at the packaging for the Unit 1971 of the Claws of Axos set. So we've got the Doctor Who logo there, the Gallifreyan motif and the Style Guide's TARDIS. Then we've got the limited edition sticker, with a nice window box display displaying the figures there, all very lovely, so you can check the quality control if you want to. And then of course the name of the set, Unit 1971 of the Claws of Axos Collector Figure Set. The scale of the figures, 5+ character options. The side of the box. Taking a look at the back of the box now, we've got prototype images of the figures themselves and what the set includes. And on the other side, we've got the window box display there again saying what the set includes. So take a look at the man, the myth, the legend, the Brigadier. So first of all, I'm going to kick off with the articulation for the Brigadier, then do the detail, and then do a comparison to the original Claws of Axos Brigadier figure. So taking a look at the articulation for the Brigadier, the head can move side to side. The arms are ball jointed. The arms can do a full 360-degree turn, 360 at the bicep, bend at the elbow, 360 at the wrist. We do have waist articulation, but it is hindered by the jumper. The legs are on a T-crotch joint, so they can move forward and to the back and to the side, but again is hindered by the jumper. We have 360-degree turn at the thigh and bend at the knee. So taking a look at the detail for the Brigadier. So if we start off with the berry. Now the berry's been slightly altered. It's been given this sort of green, sort of sandy colour to it. We've got the creasing detail where it all sort of crimples, where it all connects around to the Brigadier's head. Again, we've got the berry slightly folded over, the black band going all across the berry with a nice creasing detail, and the detail of the Brigadier's hair there, as you can see with the individual strands. Now the paint apps on the face are quite interesting because he's got a slightly red cheek, so he's got rosy red cheeks, which I guess is fairly accurate to the story because when they were filming the Claws of Axos, it was pretty darn cold by the looks of it. Obviously with the freak weather with all the snow, so the character options have sort of given him sort of this sort of rosy red cheeks, which does look a little bit odd when you see it in the packaging, but it does look okay in person. Obviously you've got the trademark Brigadier moustache, and another good attention to detail on the berry is actually the little unit badge. As you can see, we've got a unit there and a little circle. Now on the original Claws of Axos Brigadier, it has a sort of grated effect, but obviously on the B&M budget they've sort of simplified and just given a grey circle, which is still good. Obviously the paint apps on the face, again, pretty good. You've got the sort of lines on the forehead there, and you can definitely tell that it is Nicholas Courtney. Moving to the costume now, again we've got the epaulets painted there, which is really good, fantastic detail by character options, and the paint apps are very crisp, which is all very good, and they're on both sides. And again we've got the little shoulder pads there painted in a different colour, which really does make the figure pop. Again, the jumper, we've got the nice sort of wool texturing of the fabric, which is done rather well, and that's got a slight black wash to it to really highlight the sort of details of the actual jumper itself. And that's very much all the same. Again, we've got the sort of detail of the elasticated sort of cuff there, and again we've got the elbow pads there, and again we've got the detail of the fastening of the belt, which is all very well done. And just, as you can see on the back, you can see sort of the black wash really does highlight the sort of texture of the jumper rather well. So if we take a look at the gloves now, the gloves are actually more accurate on this one because the gloves in the Claws of Axos are brown, and obviously you've got this sort of ridging detail where sort of the fingers are in the actual glove, which is all very good attention to detail. Again, we've got the Brigadier's trusty holster with the little flap there. It doesn't open up, it is one solid piece, but it is a nice little addition. So moving down to the trousers now, the trousers are a little bit odd in my opinion, because they're sort of this dark green, and then they've sort of give it a black wash to give it sort of a dirty look to it, which I'm not really a fan of. I think they should have just left the wash, because I feel like that's one of the things with this recent B&M wave, like the Ryan figure. They all have sort of a wash on the trousers, which is a little bit odd, and I don't think it quite works on the Brigadier figure personally. So we've got the seam of the trousers there, and all the creasing detail. The shoes are in this nice sort of gloss black Colour, and we've got a nice sort of grey sole detail there, which is really cool. And again, we've got a different panelling section of the shoes and the laces there. Accessory wise, the Brigadier comes with his trusty pistol. Again, we have very much the same detail. If you own a Brigadier figure, what comes with this gun, then you basically know what to expect. We've got a nice sort of grating detail on the handle and all the sort of section detail there, which is all rather well. And of course, that just pops into the Brigadier's hand like so, and you can pose him in some very dynamic poses, ready to have a good old-fashioned unit shootout. So doing the comparison to the original Claws of Axos Brigadier, so we start off with the paint apps on the face. So taking a look at the paint apps on the face, I personally prefer the original Claws of Axos Brigadier figure on the left, because I feel like they're a lot sharper. As you can see, the paint apps haven't been that heavily applied on the original one, whereas I feel like the B&M one, the paint apps are quite heavy. And obviously we've got the sort of rosy red cheeks on the Brigadier, which, is quite accurate to the story because it was quite cold. But obviously you can see the difference in the coloration of the berets. And like I said, the beret on the original Brigadier, you can see the slight grating detail on the actual badge, where it's been simplified on the B&M one with just a circle. But I think that's more down to cost reasons. So obviously you can see the difference in the actual costume itself, with obviously the different sort of greens being used. Obviously the new B&M one's slightly more vibrant, where it slightly pops a lot more. And obviously the hair on the Brigadier's got more of a brown finish instead of a sort of jet black look to it. Again, the black wash on the B&M one really does highlight the texturing detail of the wool jumper. But I think personally the colours, in terms of accuracy, if you want to go for a more closer Brigadier, I feel like the colours of the jumper seem more accurate on the original one, but the new B&M one does have the more accurate brown gloves. So if you move down to the trousers now, as you can see the difference in the coloration there, as you can see, we have more of a sort of standard sort of khaki green colour on the original one, whereas this one's got more of a sort of dark green with that black wash, which I don't really know, it looks a bit weird for me personally, that sort of wash. I get what they're trying to do to give that sort of dirty look to it. And again, the Brigadier has brown shoes instead of black shoes. One thing to note with this figure is obviously there is one inaccuracy, because obviously the Brigadier's trousers aren't like this in the Claws of Axos, because they're sort of tucked into his boots. But obviously character options are just using the additional sculpt what they have. So here we have Captain Mike Yates. So we can finally have Joe and Mike go out on that little date together in figure form. So yes, I'm going to do the articulation, detail, and then a comparison to what makes this new figure up. So taking a look at the articulation for Captain Yates, the head can move side to side. The arms are ball jointed. The arms can do a full 360-degree turn, 360 at the bicep, bend at the elbow, 360-degree turn at the wrist. We do have waist articulation, what can do a full 360-degree turn. The legs can kick out and to the back and move ever so slightly out, but is hindered by the PVC piece. The thigh can do a full 360-degree turn and bend at the knee. We look at the detail for Captain Mike Yates. So again, we have very much the same sort of detailing of the beret. So moving on to the detail for Captain Mike Yates. So we start off with the beret. The beret is very much the same as the Brigadier and again Sergeant Benton. Again, we've got sort of the creasing detail there where the beret sort of folds over. Again, we've got the black band going all across the beret, which is very good attention to detail. And again, we've got the sort of simplified unit badge there, which is all very well. The hair is done really well with a sort of nice or light brown colour. Again, you can see the detailing of the different strands of hair to give that sort of textured look to it, which is very good. So if we take a look at the main attraction of this figure, which is the head sculpt. The head sculpt is incredible. It definitely does look like Richard Franklin. I think that it is a superb likeness to him. Obviously, you've got the detail of the lines on the face there. As you can see, the slight sort of dimples where the smile is. It's all very good. I can definitely see Richard Franklin within this likeness. I definitely do think that it does look like Richard Franklin, especially from certain angles. You can definitely tell that it is Captain Yates. It is all very well done. So well done to character options for really capturing Richard Franklin's likeness. So we move down to the costume now. This costume, I guess, first appeared in Season 8 in Terror of the Autons, because obviously in Season 7 they had that sort of beigey look to it. So obviously in Season 8 they were given more of a sort of traditional military look to it. So if we take a look at the actual costume itself, so again we've got the sort of scarf detailing there, we've got the nice sort of wool texture to it, which is all done very well. And again we've got sort of a shirt detail there, obviously with the buttons and obviously the pockets sculpted there. And we've got a slight sort of white wash to give it that sort of fade and sort of worn look to it, which is all very good attention to detail and makes it feel very lifelike. And obviously I feel like in certain parts of the story, Yates has sort of got his shirt and tie, he doesn't really wear the scarf, but obviously because this is used in the same body as Benton, you know, it just saves the cost really. But to be honest, it works for the figure, and you know, so some of the story does have the scarf on, so it you know, it depends. I guess we could see another variant of Yates. So if we move down, we've got this sort of strap detailing there with obviously the silver fastenings there, which is all done very well. But again, we've got the sort of box detailing with the creasing detail, which gives it that lifelike effect with all the fastenings there. And again, we can see the detailing of the slight sort of whitewash to give it that faded look to it. Again, got the creasing detail on the arm. Again, that's been given this sort of whitewash to give it that sort of fade look. And on the top of the shoulders, we've got the epaulette detail of the military insignia, which is all done very well. Moving to the back, again, we can see the sort of more faded sort of whitewash to give it that sort of faded look to the costume. Again, we've got a nice sort of section detailing there, and obviously the creasing detail of the costume. And on the other arm, we've got the little unit insignia, which is again really good little attention to detail. Again, the gloves are very much the same as the Brigadier. Again, the nice sort of detailing there of the lines there sculpted on the actual gloves themselves. And again, the trousers are exactly the same as the Brigadier's sort of sculpt, but now in more of a sort of lighter green colour, and again given that whitewash to give it that sort of worn and faded look, and again the same creasing detail. But the shoes are now given this sort of whitewash again to give it that worn look to it when they've just been running away from the Axon spaceship, which is all very cool detail and very much the same detail as the Brigadier shoes, because again this is very much a Brigadier figure. Accessory wise, Benton and Yates come with exactly the same accessory. They come with this gun. Obviously people have complained about this because it's a very modern gun. It doesn't bother me that it comes with a sort of modern day gun, because I rather the figures come with accessories than not at all. It would look a bit weird if they didn't come with any guns. So I'm glad that Character Options opted to use this, because obviously this is a primeval gun. I think it was from Captain Ryan, I think. If memory serves, I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've watched Primeval, but that just slots into Captain Yates' hand like so, and obviously you can pose him with the gun, which is all very cool. And there we go, Captain Yates ready to fight some Axons. So moving on to the comparison to what parts of Character Options used from other figures to create Captain Yates and Sergeant Benton, because Captain Yates and Sergeant Benton share the same body, but obviously have a different head sculpt, obviously. So head-wise, they've used the beret from the original Claws of Axos Brigadier, but the actual body is the three Doctors Brigadier figure, as you can see from the arms. Obviously a lot more smoother, it's not got the wool texture like the other ones, like the Damon's one as well. And obviously what they've done is basically created a sort of wraparound piece for this, what just basically slots over the figure like so, and it's given us this new sort of torso piece there, and that's basically what they have done. So I'm very thankful that Character Options have done that, because they've just created a new sort of PVC piece, put it over the original Brigadier body, and then we've got Captain Yates and Sergeant Benton. So moving on to good old reliable Sergeant Benton. So again, I'm going to do the articulation and detail, and then I'll do a Claws of Axos figure lineup. So taking a look at the articulation for Sergeant Benton, the head can move side to side, the arms are ball jointed, the arms can do a full 360 degree turn. We do have 360 degree turn at the bicep, bend at the elbow, 360 degree turn at the wrist, 360 degree turn at the waist. Again, the legs can kick out and to the back and move to the side, but again hindered by the PVC piece there. 360 at the thigh and bend at the knee. So taking a look at the detail for Sergeant Benton. So again, the beret detail is very much the same as the previous two figures, same creasing detail. Again, the same black band going along the beret. We have the great detailing of Sergeant Benton's hair there, with obviously you can see the strands of hair, which is done excellently. Again, the simplified unit band. But if we take a look at the head sculpt, I just think it's incredible. I think that this is a dead ringer for John Levine. I think that it is superb, and possibly my favourite likeness out of the 2020 B&M line. I feel like this is an absolutely brilliant likeness to John Levine. You've got the lines on the forehead, you know, got the lines by the eyebrows, which is just done really well. You can just see them which is done really great, and obviously you've got a sort of cragginess of the lower half of the face. It's just done really well, and I absolutely love it. It definitely does look like John Levine. Is just spot on. It is just, oh, I just can't get over how brilliant the likeness is for this. It's so great to finally have Sergeant Benton and to have a figure with such a brilliant likeness. It is just absolutely superb. I absolutely adore this figure. I think that it is absolutely brilliant. So the costume is very much the same as Captain Yates, but it does have a few subtle paint changes. As you can see, Captain Yates has got more of a vibrant green sort of straps, and obviously the boxes there, as you can tell. And obviously we've got the Sergeant insignia on Benton's arms, whereas Yates just has the unit badge there. But those are just, obviously we don't have the epaulette detail on the top there for Sergeant Benton. But yeah, those are sort of the subtle differences between Benton and Yates. Obviously Benton has much more of a darker sort of green colour there, as you can see. But yeah, those are sort of the minor changes, but very much the detail is exactly the same. The sort of nice texturing of the woolen scarf. Again, we've got the great sort of faded white wash over it to give that worn look to it, which is great. Especially you can see on the collar there, you can see the sort of fadedness there, and obviously got the military stuff there, which is all done very well. Again, Sergeant insignia, the same sort of creasing detail, and obviously the creasing detail really helps give it that sort of lifelike effect there, and obviously the different fastenings there, which is done really well, and the seam of the jacket, and obviously the seams of the sleeves of the actual jacket as well, done really well. And again, the nice fastening detail and the creases to give that illusion that the pockets are full of stuff. Again, we've got the button detail there and the slight creasing detail, and again the same sort of detail on the gloves themselves. It's just done really well, and I feel like the likeness for this figure really does make this figure pop, and it definitely does look like John Levine. It is absolutely superb. And again, trousers very much the same, got the same sort of worn white wash over the shoes to give that sort of worn and sort of battered look, which is really good attention to detail. But yeah, the likeness for this figure is just absolutely incredible. Look at that, John Levine in 5-inch figure form. It's incredible. So here we have the Claws of Axos lineup of figures. Obviously we had the original 2010 release of the Axon and Roger Algario Master, then the 2014 set with Humanoid Axon, and obviously Joe Grant and the Brigadier. And obviously we have the new B&M 2020 set with Benton, Yates and the Brigadier. All we need now is a proper third Doctor from the Claws of Axos, and that will sort of complete this lineup. But one thing to note is the second Doctor TARDIS from the recent B&M line works incredibly well as a sort of Claws of Axos TARDIS. I'll try and put a photo on the screen now. It looks very similar to how the TARDIS appears in the Claws of Axos, with that sort of grey-blue colour. So I put that there to make it more of an interesting sort of display piece. But yeah, it just looks incredible to have the unit family. It's just, for someone who is a huge fan of the Pertwee era, to have the sort of the unit family, all we need now is Liz Shaw. She was rumoured to be part of the 2020 line. Hopefully we can see Liz Shaw to properly complete the unit family. But for now, it is so incredibly satisfying to have Benton and Yates join the unit family, and oh, it just completes it. Just look at that. It's absolutely wonderful. If I could tell, 8-year-old me that will have Benton and Yates in figure form, I would be over the moon. So yeah, it's incredibly satisfying to have a little Claws of Axos display. So what are my concluding thoughts on the Doctor Who Unit 1971 of the Claws of Axos collector figure set? Well, I absolutely love it. This could possibly be my favourite set from the wave of B&M's figure sets for 2020. Maybe that's because I'm naturally biased because it's the Pertwee era, and it's just so mind-blowing that we have Sergeant Benton and Captain Yates, and it's just incredibly satisfying when you put them next to Joe and the third Doctor. It just feels like the unit family is becoming more and more complete. So please, character options, release Liz Shaw, and I will be very happy to have the sort of whole Pertwee companion lineup. It'd be absolutely brilliant, and maybe we could have Corporal Bell. That would be great, or Osgood as well. It'd be brilliant to have those as well. But yeah, I am so happy to have these figures. The likenesses are incredible, and definitely I feel like this is definitely I feel like Sergeant Benton in particular is one of the best likenesses character options I've ever done. It is just uncanny. When you see the figure in hand, you're just like, wow, they have just shrunk John Levine from the 70s and give us this figure. It's just incredible. The Brigadier, I think, is a nice little variant. Personally, I prefer the original Claws of Axos Brigadier just because I prefer the paint apps on the face. Obviously, they've slightly tweaked it to see more of a variant, but if you don't have the original Claws of Axos Brigadier, then it's a nice little variant. It's a nice little subtle changes to him. And as for Captain Yates, again, brilliant likeness to Richard Franklin. And again, the detailing on the figures are absolutely incredible. So well done to character options for this set, because you've made one Pertwee fanboy incredibly happy. I absolutely love this set. If you can't tell, I just love it. It's just Oh, brilliant. I love it. It is amazing. That concludes the review of the B&M figure sets for 2020 so far for this wave of figures, of those 6 figure sets. I hope you have enjoyed it. Obviously, we've got the rumours of sets being released in December. Whether that's true, it probably is true. But for now, that is the B&M sets for 2020 complete. So I hope you have enjoyed those reviews, and I'll see you in my next review, whatever that'll be. So thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.